Hello everyone, this is Bullfrog's Banjo, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a story time about how I got my Mr. Munch and Helen Henny animatronics. This is, I believe, the third video on my series where I talk about how I got my characters, and I think this video has been anticipated for a really long time. I did a poll on Instagram and a lot of people wanted to see how I got these guys first, so that's what I'll be doing in this video. I did just want to say I will be leaving out people's names just for the safety of everyone, and I guess we should start by talking about how I got these characters. Alright, let's quickly start this story by the history of these characters with me. So when I became a fan of Chuck E. Cheese, I would obviously go to Chuck E. Cheese's, and my first location I went to that actually got me into the community was the North Wales, Pennsylvania location, which was sadly gone before COVID-19, which is what happened with these guys. So basically, I went to North Wales, and eventually I went to Levittown, and I believe it must have been 2017 when I went there. I was there for the 40 Years of Fun event. I would go there very frequently, even though this location was not near my house. It was about a 40-minute drive from my house, while my local was about 15-20 minutes, which is Warrington, Pennsylvania. So basically, I would make my parents drive me super far to see Levittown, and I really loved the stage. There was something about it. Levittown was a one stage / two stage because it was a one stage, but it had the two stage props and decorations and stuff. It didn't have like all of the one stage stuff, although it was a one stage. Some unique things about Levittown was that they had a really short stage. I would want to say it's maybe like a foot tall. It was very small, which allowed for children to crawl up on stage and touch the characters, which wasn't great, but it was just something about the show that was really interesting. And also, I knew the technician there when I was younger. I would talk to the technician and he would show me around and show me the back room, and I would see things that they had in the back, and it was really cool. And he really was supporting me with my animatronic interest. He would show me like the extra eyelids and stuff, so there was some connection. And then he eventually transferred to the Roosevelt, Philadelphia location, which I actually saw him there, and then after that I have not seen him since. So it would be great to see him. I think I'm going to leave out his name, but I do remember his name but not his last name, and I do not have contact with him, but I think it would be really cool to catch up with him and be like, hey, I have the characters that you worked on now. But unfortunately I don't have a way to contact him, and I believe I only know his first name. But he was really a great guy, and he did see me at Levittown a couple times before he transferred. So I would go there very frequently and record the show on my, my shaky camera and upload videos to YouTube, and I really did like this location. As I got older, I obviously went to other locations and stuff around the area, but this was a really special place for me. I would always take my friends there when they would come in the area that like Chuck E. Cheese, and it was just a super great place. I loved the atmosphere of the store. It was very big, very unique design on the outside. It was very cool. So what happened was, during COVID-19, like most Chuck E. Cheese's, they all pretty much closed down. And they were open just selling pizzas, all the lights were out, and they would just, have this deal, which was a $5 pizza sale, which was really amazing, actually. $5 for a large pizza. I think they're like $25 or $30 for a large pizza now at Chuck E. Cheese, which is crazy. But for $5, that was great. So I would even have my parents drive that far, 40 minutes, to just get a $5 pizza. And I think that just kind of shows that I really like this location, and I got some photos of the characters back then when the store was closed and they were just sitting there. So now we're going to jump a little bit ahead. We are in August of 2020. To be more specific, August 27th. So this is the day I actually got my characters. So to begin this, it's kind of all over the place, and I'm trying to go from memory from this because there's not too much documentation I did. But if you guys have not seen my video about how I got my Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, my first Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, you'd probably know that I got multiple characters in one day. So I spent the $1,000+ to buy Chucky right here, and then that same day I got the other characters you're looking at right here. At least 2 of them, but basically 3, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So we got Chucky from the Lancaster, Pennsylvania location, and if you're interested in that story, I'd definitely check out that video, as well as how I got my Warblets, because I think those are really interesting stories too. But we're not on those videos, we're on the third one, so I'll skip a little bit of the Chucky stuff. But I went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I got my Chucky, and as we were in the area, me and my family, we got a text from a friend. Now, there was a lot of stuff going on in the community, but I don't really think I was a part of that. Like, there was some stuff on Discord. There was like group chats where they were talking about how Levittown was closing and stuff, but I really wasn't on Discord. And I know some people were saying how I found out they were thrown out because of Discord, or people sent it to me, and some of that's kind of true, but I do remember, and I have proof about this, but my mom's friend who lives near Levittown mentioned how the store closed. They were like, hey, just so you know, the store closed, and yeah. And then I was really shocked. I was like, wow, I was so happy that I just got a Chucky Cyberamic. But I was, kind of also mixed with sadness, because I just found out that the store that I love, that I would go to, is now closed. I didn't know what that meant. I don't know if they just closed or if the stuff was already thrown out weeks ago. I really don't know, because with COVID and everything, I haven't been to this Chuck E. Cheese in a while, because I went there once or twice for the pizza, but there's no point in going if it's closed, and not to mention it's far, and I'm a human and I'm busy and I have a lot of stuff going on in my life. So we found out from that, as well as there was some Instagram chats, I believe. I think someone in an Instagram chat sent something about like, hey, the characters are actually, being destroyed right now, or they're getting thrown out. And, I was like, okay, whatever. I was talking to one of my friends, and on the way back home, I was like, hey, Mom and Dad, do you think we could just go to Levittown and see if what's up, see if the animatronics in the dumpster, see if they're in the building? Like, I'm just like curious about this. And then, they were kind of like, oh, but you just got a Chucky, like this, we could maybe go another day. And I was like, I think we really got to go today. And I remember someone sent a photo of them sitting inside the building, and I was like, we really got to go today to try to get these characters, because, I wouldn't say I was there when I was like 5 years old. Like, I'm not going to lie and say that I like grew up with them, but these guys really made an impact in my life. And I went to this location a lot of times. I love the way the characters looked until they replaced Helen's mask. And I just really liked the store, and I went there a lot. So, I really wanted to try saving these characters, as well as I just had Chucky. So it would have been cool to get possibly a whole show. So on the way back from Lancaster, which is an hour plus drive from Lancaster to my house, I was talking to some friends, and one of my friends who went to the auction, once again, I'm not going to name names or anything just to be safe, but a friend that went to the auction to pick up an arcade game was like, hey, I'm going to go check out Levittown. And I was like, okay, sure, you're a friend of mine, I'll check out it with you, because I'm going to go too. It kind of put not a nail in the coffin to go and see it, but it was kind of like another oh, this is awesome, I can see my friend and go to Levittown. It was great. So I'm going home, we drop off Chucky, I take some photos of him in the house, and then I'm like, all right, Mom, let's go. And we didn't bring a trailer because we didn't know what to expect. I'm sure there was stories going around on Instagram about other people visiting, or Discord, I should say, but I did not see those stories, so I didn't really know. I was kind of going in blind, what stuff's still in the building? I don't know. I didn't know if there was even dumpsters outside. And also, I've never really dumpster dived to get characters at all. So it was a really unique situation. And I remember being on the highway texting some Instagram group chats, I'm heading over there and stuff. And it was just, fun. And then I pull up there, and this is a really interesting story, the whole situation that went on. But, I showed up there, and basically my friend was already there, grabbed a couple things from the dumpster, put them in the car, not my car, but the car, and a manager ended up coming out. He came out to us, and I have not told the story in a long time, maybe a while, but I remember him being like, you're not supposed to be here, you're not allowed to dumpster dive while we're here, but we're leaving in 15 minutes if you can wait. Which we were very shocked. Keep in mind, this was years and years ago. I guess it was 4 years ago at this point, but we were a lot younger, mindset and everything. So, we weren't really sure what to expect, but we were basically told hey, do not dumpster dive here, or, if you're going to do it, wait till we're gone at least. And what ended up happening is we waited a little bit, ignore that. we ended up waiting a little bit, and then when the coast was clear, we started dumpster diving. And there was this one dumpster right behind the building, and it had a lot of the show parts in it. It had a ton of the show parts. It had characters, it had backdrops, it had curtains, it had everything. And basically we just grabbed things out, and some of the setback was, I got there, and I remember calling my dad and being like, the animatronics, they're in the dumpster. They're all in the dumpster. Everything's here. You gotta come. He's like, what? And what ended up happening is, since we came in a smaller car, we couldn't obviously fit an animatronic in there at all, let alone multiple or backdrops or a piano or anything. So what ended up happening was I had to call my dad and be like, yo, like, we really have to you have to come here with the trailer. Bring my brother, bring whatever. So what ended up happening is that they had to wait, we had to wait 40 minutes for them to drive up here with the trailer, which could definitely hold a whole Chuck E. Cheese show. And once they got here, we started taking things out of the dumpster. Something interesting about this location is the back of the store where the dumpsters were is very near a main road. So if like cars passing by could definitely look over through some thin shrubbery and see us dumpster diving. So it was a little bit of a risky thing, if a cop drove by and was like, what's all this commotion going on? It could have been definitely a big problem. So what ended up happening was, which I've already said so many times, but we kept pulling things from the dumpster, and we got munch, and I was so happy, and we had gloves and everything, being all safe. And we just kept taking stuff. And the original situation that was gonna go on was I was gonna get all of the characters minus Chucky, because I already had Chucky and my friend was gonna get Chucky. And this situation has not really been talked about on the internet, and I'm trying to tell the whole story. That's why I'm leaving this in, just because I feel like it's interesting. So we pulled out Chucky and we looked at him, and he was in really rough shape, which makes sense because he is Chucky, the main character. He was in really rough shape. And these characters were mostly like Pizza Time Theater styled characters, all clippered valves, very, interesting mechanisms. So it wasn't even like a really high quality mechanism to begin with, and it was really damaged. So what ended up happening is we were like, okay, you can take Jasper too, just because Chucky is so bad. Or I think it might have even been like, we'll leave Chucky and you could just take Jasper. And then what ended up happening was we left Chucky on the hill. There was this little hill behind the store, and we just left the character sitting there. And then around last minute-ish, we were like, okay, just take Chucky with you. And because Chucky was in like really bad shape. I'm talking like his eyes were beat up, cosmetics destroyed, hands like ripped off, like he was in really bad shape. Now obviously better than nothing nowadays, and this was so early on 2020, not many people even were getting stuff from stores, that we almost left behind a Chucky just sitting on the hill. And also, I'm not trying to rush through the story because there's a lot that went on, with the situation. All kind of wishy-washy stuff. There was a guy who showed up with his family and saw us dumpster diving to get the Chuck E. Cheese show, and he was like, "Oh, you guys got the show?" And we were like, "Yeah, we got the show." Some random family, and then he started dumpster diving in the arcade things, assuming that we got everything, which we pretty much got as much as we could. And that's just an interesting story because he showed up and I guess maybe he wanted the show, maybe he just wanted arcade games, but he like acknowledged us and was like, okay, they pretty much got the good stuff. And yeah, I do know there was someone who went before me and my friend, and was told to leave. Again, leaving out all names and everything just for safety. So there already was, now I didn't know about this at the time, so there already was kind of risk going there in the first place. But we made it through, we got some stuff. The worst thing about dumpster diving is when you look back on the things and you remember like what you didn't get, because this stuff only happens so much. Around this time in 2020, there was over 100 Cyberamic stages in the US alone, and nowadays I believe there is 11 cyber stages in the USA right now. So many stages have been wiped away, and there's only so many in one area that if you don't get as much as you can from one location, it's very hard to complete that set. And especially with like big props like backdrops or pianos, that would kind of be hard to ship. You really want to try to get it all and as much as you can at once. So with this, there was some, my family was like, we gotta go, it's really late now, it's like 9 o'clock, we should have to go home. And I was like, no, we got to keep grabbing more like backdrops and curtains and this and that. And it's like, oh, it's too heavy. We can't do it. We don't have space in the trailer. And, what ended up happening was stuff was left behind. And that stuff could have been just like curtains. It could have been backdrops, especially backdrops. I remember seeing Pasquale's brick wall, but unfortunately we did not get it. But that's some of the worst stuff with getting shows, because you're supposed to be very grateful about what you have, and then you start thinking about what you don't have, and then it's like, well, crap, now there's no chance to get that, and then you have incomplete stuff. So maybe that's just me talking. I don't know if other people feel that way, but I do feel like that is something that has just happened to me in the past. You should have grabbed this, should have grabbed that, and it kind of just builds up. But I'm very happy with what I got, and I have been lucky in the future to get more and basically complete my show, which is great. There's another little story I want to add to this, how basically there was the Munch piano. I saw my father lift up the entire Munch piano right here, which is a really big piece, and one big piece, no smashed sides or anything. Lifting that up out of the dumpster really showed how supportive he is of me and how much he wanted to help. Because keep in mind, this is like a crazy thing to ask, come to this huge dumpster and help get these animatronics for your kid. Like, that's crazy. So I very much appreciate my family and everything for helping me get these characters, get whatever we could. Over time, I've learned to just accept, like, okay, I didn't grab the backdrops, but it's okay. Like, we will move on, we will survive. It's one of those things that just like after you kind of think about it, but over time, it's whatever. It's just pieces of wood. And maybe in the future there'll be opportunities where you can buy stuff. So I think that is a big chunk of the story. Now that's pretty much the how I got these guys story. I hope I went in enough detail and made it interesting enough. That's pretty much what happened. There was a little bit of waiting for the trailer to come, right? So I'm kind of jumping all around over the place now. But, while we had to wait that 40 minutes, we couldn't really grab characters out because, one, there was no, like, super strong people. Because these guys were covered with stuff, There was a thing of paint just laying in there, like a can of paint that spilled and kind of got on Helen's dress. There was a lot of stuff that kind of was going on. Oh, that's a perfect thing I didn't even talk about. There was this can of gray paint, and we were picking it up, and it was like dripping everywhere, and it happened to get on Helen's dress, which looks kind of funny, but that's just another piece of history with this store. We went to the 7-Eleven across the street and kind of got like waters and stuff to hydrate while we were waiting for the trailer to come. Trailer finally came, and we started loading that trailer. I ended up I didn't really talk about Jasper too much, but Jasper was in pretty rough shape. Helen was in very rough shape. Munch was in pretty good shape, actually, I will say. Munch is definitely in the best shape out of all the characters. His eyes were not damaged. His eyelids were not damaged. He wasn't bent in any way, shape, or form. Missing a couple things here and there, but definitely not bad. But you're probably wondering about one character I did not mention, and that's Pasquale the chef. So I actually ended up getting Pasquale from this location. So I ended up getting Pasquale, and he was one of the characters that was in decent shape, but in also pretty bad shape. And what ended up happening was, after a little bit of having him and trying to restore it, I thought it would only make sense to end up selling this guy. And I'm trying to think about why I sold it. I know I sold it to someone who really wanted it. It wasn't like I just listed it on eBay and was like, here is a cyber for sale. It was more of like someone was like, I want to buy your Pasquale. And it was in really, really rough shape. At that point, I think they wanted to make repros of it. So like they wanted to remake Cyberamics, and they wanted to like use it for measurements. And I got a pretty good chunk of change for it. Nowadays it would have been a lot more, but I'm trying to think about why I sold it. There definitely was some reason behind it, but I do not recall. It might have been wanting to buy like Halloween decorations or something like that, but I did get a good chunk of change for it, and I don't exactly remember why I sold it, but there was a reason for it. And so I basically only had 3 characters for a good majority of time, and ended up getting a Pasquale later in the future, which is great. I also did have Pasquale's mask in fairly good shape, which is really nice, but I also ended up selling that after I sold the Pasquale animatronic, for money too, for other various reasons. And yeah, you know, you got to keep moving forward, and you got to be smart. You know, people are probably going to be like, well, why do you sell Pasquale if you had a cyber? You know, well, maybe I used that money to buy some stuff for Helen or Munch, and then I ended up using some of that money to buy another character, and that helped me get this. You know, everything kind of links together. And a lot of people say, you know, Ryan, you have so much stuff, or Ryan, you sell too many things and it's horrible, and you just buy animatronics to sell them, which is definitely not true. But everything has a reason, and there's a reason why in my room I have an entire Cyberamic stage plus various other miscellaneous animatronics, and I'm doing pretty well. So I think for this video, this is pretty much all I'm gonna say for it. I know that there will be a video hopefully soon that will show how I got another 2 animatronics, but we will hint towards those a little bit later, and I'll show you guys that video a little bit later about how I got those, because that video will be very well documented, because I actually knew what was already happening. I've already had the experience with Levittown. I knew I didn't grab the backdrops, and I knew what I really needed for my stage. So hopefully I will have a video sometime in the future, fairly soon, hopefully, basically how I got those guys, which will be really interesting. And maybe I'll do videos in the future about how I got other things, like the Daniel and the Dixie Diggers, and walk around costumes, and this and that, and you know, the Rock and Roll and 50 show. Whatever you guys are interested in seeing, I'll look into it and try to get a video out about it. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this was an interesting look. You know, this is like a one-of-one experience. This is all from my perspective, so it's kind of a little, and it was 4 years ago, so it's a little washy, but you know, it's all a little blurry kind of what happened, but I'm pretty sure I got the stuff pretty straight in this, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I think it's a very unique take on what happened. Not many people have had experiences like this, let alone posting their experiences on YouTube and sharing images and stuff. These are the first time some of these images are going to be public, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely subscribe if you can. I believe we're at 3,400 right now, and I'd love to hit 4,000 soon and get some more videos of these characters out. I've been so busy that I have not had time to film these characters singing songs and doing shows, but I will hopefully get to that soon, and maybe I'll have a back to school special. I don't know, I'll have to see. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching this video. Comment what you think about this. I mean, this is a really interesting situation. Like I said, it's like a one-of-one experience, like going to the dumpster and being told that I can dumpster dive but I shouldn't be here, and you know, getting the characters but not getting some characters. And you know, I will say that the other characters are in very good shape now, and they have been restored and stuff, I believe privately, but yeah, so Levittown has survived, guys. I think that this is a great thing, that this store was able to survive, and it would not have been done if it was not people who cared. That goes for all the bots, you know. So I'm very happy that they went to good hands, and even Pasquale, which is not a Pasquale anymore, is, I believe, in very good shape, and is rocking around today. So thank you guys for watching this video. I'll see you in another video. Bye.